Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. This video has been a long time coming. If you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Alyssa. I am 34 years old and I've been living with my parents for the last 3 years. We live in Tennessee and I was living with them for personal/financial reasons. Basically, in the beginning of 2022, I ended a previous relationship, but I still had to pay rent for the majority of that year with that previous partner. So I didn't want to pay rent in two places. So I ended up moving in with my parents, and they so graciously did not charge me rent during that time. And that was the original plan, was just to finish out that year living with my parents and then move out once I wasn't paying rent at the previous place anymore. But at the beginning of 2023, when I was going to be looking to move out, I basically was awakened to the personal finance community on YouTube specifically, and I woke up to my finances and my somewhat poor financial decisions. Basically, I was not spending in alignment with my long-term goals, which I didn't even really know what those goals were until 2023. I really had no idea like how retirement even worked, how people retire, how you retire early. All I knew was I didn't want to work forever, but I was not putting my money in places that would allow that to happen for me. So yeah, 2023 was an extremely transformative year for me. And I started investing very heavily. That's when I started budgeting. I would like to actually show you my graph here. So I started using YNAB in September of 2023 here. This previous data is historical data that I imported. It's not super accurate because there were checking accounts and cash and things that are not being accounted for, but it should be accurate within like a few $1,000s. This money in here is my investments during this time, which was pretty much most of my net worth at the time. And I started my Roth IRA in March of 2020. So yeah, my net worth as a 30-year-old was about maybe like 15, 16, 17 grand in 2020. And so let's zoom in to 2023. That's when I woke up to my finances and I started budgeting, and you can see that my net worth started climbing a little bit. And then as soon as I signed up for YNAB, my net worth like skyrocketed because I was able to track every single dollar, know what expenses I needed to cover and what extra I could throw towards investments. So 2024 was the year that I basically wanted to invest as much as humanly possible, and I did. I invested over $50,000 last year. So let's go to September of 2023. That is when I started YNAB, and you can see that since starting YNAB in September of 2023, I have increased my net worth by over $112,000. So I am extremely proud of that, and this is why I just cannot recommend YNAB enough. It just has helped me stay so organized and confident in where my money is going, and allowed me to be able to invest as much as possible, knowing that my other expenses day to day were all covered and I was being responsible in every other way besides just investing. So all that to say, highly recommend YNAB or just budgeting in general if you have not been budgeting. I do have a link in my description for a 34-day free trial for YNAB. And if you like it and you end up subscribing and you use my link, then we both get an additional 30 days for free. So I definitely appreciate everyone who uses my link, and I hope that you enjoy YNAB as much as I do. So we have some changes that we need to make in my budget. So this is not my first time paying rent, obviously. I lived with my parents for the last 3 years, but I had not lived with them since I was about 19, maybe 20. I believe I moved out at 19. So collectively, I have lived on my own, no roommates or partner or anything, I think a little over 5 years collectively. And then the rest of that time, about 7 or 8 years, I lived with partners. So definitely not new to having expenses and rent and things, but it is the first time in 3 years. So I definitely need to get used to paying rent. It is definitely a hefty chunk of change. And also, since I started YNAB, so one of the main things that YNAB teaches you is to get a month ahead in your finances, or at least be thinking and preparing for future expenses. And a lot of people just find that they're more comfortable and secure if they just go ahead and get a month ahead. And that's what I chose to do. And I highly recommend getting a month ahead. It is completely freeing knowing that all of my month's expenses are already paid for, basically. Not paid for, but budgeted for. So, but how YNAB teaches it is to actually physically budget that money into the next month. Whereas since I started using YNAB, I chose to do a month ahead fund at the top of my budget here. And this is like a savings category throughout the month where I refill it back up to this $2,500. This is the money that I like to be a month ahead in. I chose to do it this way instead of budgeting into the next month because I thought it was just easier for my brain to see all in one place how much money I have left to allocate towards next month. And I just thought that would be easier instead of flipping into the next month and seeing, how much I've assigned, how much I'm underfunded. It just was a lot simpler for me to just do it all in one place. And then at the beginning of the month, which I will be doing shortly, that is when I allocate all this money out all at once. However, I want to try for the first time budgeting a month ahead physically into the next month, which I will be doing this month. And so that come March 1st, all of the money that I need will already be allocated, and I don't have to wait until I record a video in order to have my categories funded. And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. The main, most obvious reason is that on the first of the month, I get a lot of overspending because that is when rent is due. I often wait till the first of the month to start buying groceries that we need because I ran out of money last month. So I waited till the first to have a brand new, fresh envelope of grocery money. And things like my phone bill that I pay my mom or in a family plan, I pay her that money on the first. So I have a lot of overspending that happens on the first simply because I have been waiting to allocate this money on camera with you guys. So it would just be a lot neater for both you and me if I already had that money physically in these categories. And then another reason I would like to physically budget a month ahead is I think it'd be just more fun and interesting. It's definitely a lot more fun to allocate the money one by one, and I can kind of stay on top of my budget on a more weekly or bi-weekly basis, or at least throughout the month, to make sure that the categories that I have are still making sense and thinking ahead a little bit more, being a little bit more hands-on about what upcoming expenses I will have in future months. So yeah, I want to give that a try this month. But for now, I do have this money set aside to budget out. Before I do that, I would like to make some other shifts to my actual budget categories and category groups. So the first change that I want to make, I'm actually going to make a food and drink category group. And I'm going to put this, I think, above my fulfillment category. And I'm going to move this food and drink category into here and actually just rename this to dining out. And then I'm also going to move groceries under here. And I'm going to make a new category for alcohol. And I will explain these changes in a second. Okay, so I want to make this its own category group for, again, a couple of reasons. So my boyfriend and I, we're living together now, obviously, if I didn't mention that already. I moved into a townhouse with my boyfriend, and so we split all of these costs pretty much right down the middle. He also uses YNAB, and he gives himself set budget for these categories as well. And it would just be a lot easier. Like, we tend to use one person's card. We will just check each other's budgets, and instead of Venmoing each other the same $50 back and forth basically every single time someone uses their card, we just each keep an eye on our YNAB budgets. And, you know, if I have at the end of the month spent all of my dining out money but none of my grocery money, then I can shift money back and forth between them, or we just switch to using his card for things. It would make more sense for me and my budget to go ahead and have all of this money in one category group so that I can see at a glance and easily shift money between them as it makes sense throughout the month for us. And then I also wanted to add this alcohol category just to have money set aside that we can specifically use to buy bottles of wine. We've been into that lately. Or I also want to get into making drinks at home. Like, I want to make some fancy martinis and some mules and some just like cocktail drinks that I've never learned how to make before now. I would love to get into that and get good at making something. I want to have a signature drink that I make. I want to make a good margarita. Anyway, so I want to have money set aside that I can do that, versus how I've been allocating money towards that before was I would pull that money from either groceries or from my seeing and doing category, which is like my entertainment category. And I would pull from either one of those categories based on the vibe, basically. Like, if I was buying a bottle of wine to have at home, it would come out of the grocery money, but then that really would eat out of my grocery budget a lot, because I would buy, you know, if I'm buying a couple bottles of wine for $50-$60, that's like a quarter of my grocery budget for the month. So I'd rather just have money specifically set aside for this, since we are going to be, I guess, prioritizing it a little bit more. It feels weird to say we're prioritizing alcohol, but I'm prioritizing budgeting for the alcohol that we plan on buying. So I will come back to what I'm actually going to budget for each of those individual things in a second. I do have a couple of other category shifts that I want to make. So my fulfillment category group, this is what I've called like my fun money, which I kind of want to get away from calling it all fun money actually, because it's not all fun. Like, this stuff and things category is for every literal like physical object that I buy. So whether it's clothes, piercings, jewelry, you can see this list of things that I have in here. Or if I buy furniture, a lamp, a kitchen gadget, like that all comes out of this stuff and things. And I wouldn't deem all of those fun purchases necessarily, especially like the first thing I think of is when I have to buy new socks because all of my socks get holes in them. Also, is this happening to anyone else where your socks just are not lasting as long as they used to? I am getting holes in my socks. Like, I am having to buy 20 packs of socks every like 3 or 4 months. It's ridiculous. I've never had to, like, socks used to last me for half a decade and they're just not anymore. So if anyone has sock recommendations that last you a while, please, please let me know. But that is not a fun purchase for me, and that would come out of this stuff and things category. So I think I actually want to go ahead and just rename this group to discretionary. Is that how you spell it? Yeah. Because while most of it would be like fun money, not all of it is. And it just, I don't know, it would make my brain feel better if it wasn't just called like fulfillment, because it doesn't fulfill me to buy new socks when my socks get holes in them. So anyway, the other change that I would like to make to this group is, so how I was doing this before for this entire category group, with the exception of this travel category. Sorry, this is confusing. So this travel category, I don't actually ever fund in here. I have a separate savings category called adventures down here. This is for trips and travel and day trips and yeah, just like bigger ticket items. I save for it down here, and then when I actually spend the money, it goes in this now discretionary group. And I do it that way because I just like on reports to see travel under discretionary and not under my savings. And I also don't want to just put that savings in here because I want this money to be more freely, like I can spend between all these categories. And travel is more of like, I don't want to touch that money until I'm specifically traveling. It just helps my brain to separate it and not see this money on a daily basis that I have set aside for travel. I don't want to be tempted to use that to cover other discretionary expenses month to month. So with the exception of that category, these other categories, I also did not fund at the beginning of the month. What I would do is give myself I started doing this sometime last year. I gave myself a weekly allowance that I would put in this holding category. So I was giving myself $150 a week to spend freely on gifts, personal care, seeing and doing, which is like entertainment, stuff and things. And then also that dining out category was in here as well. And it was helpful at first because I was getting like annoyed, I think, of setting aside money specifically for things that would not get spent throughout the month. And it was just easier for me to have a pile of money that I could just grab from. And I gave myself permission to spend all of this money down to zero on anything that I wanted throughout the month. Whether like maybe one month I'm spending $200 on gifts and $300 on eating out. And then maybe another month I'm not eating out at all and I'm spending, buying a huge concert ticket for $500. And that was working well. But then I was finding that because I wasn't allocating money specifically, I would kind of try to do like mental math and kind of keep money saved in this category for future big expenses, like, oh, what if I want to buy a concert ticket? Or, what if I want to buy go on a clothing shopping trip. Why did I not know how to say that? A trip to the mall or something and revamp my wardrobe a little bit. I was finding that I was wanting to hoard this money up here that doesn't really have too specific of a job. Its job is like discretionary spending, but yeah, I am trying so hard to stay away from this like money hoarding mindset, and because I become like cheap to myself and to other people when I kind of like take away permission to spend this money. What am I saying? So basically, all that to say, I want to delete this allowance category and just start specifically budgeting specific dollar amounts towards these categories on a monthly basis, and giving myself that permission and that specificity of that money each month. And just getting away from this generalized like money hoarding. Like I said, this did work for me, and it did work for me at first, but my brain just definitely tends to gravitate towards like frugality and cheapness, and not allowing myself like quality experiences and quality even material items that will last me a while. For instance, like socks. Like I could be buying myself better quality socks if I just have money set aside on a monthly basis, specifically, to buy my stuff and things. And maybe even later this year, I will find that I want to start breaking out these categories into more specific things. For example, having money for clothing, or even having a freaking sock category. Maybe that's what I need to give myself that permission. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, I do want to go ahead and delete this category. And what I'm going to do is actually just send this money into my next month fund, and we will budget that out later, and then I will delete that category. Okay, and then what else did I want to do? Household, yeah. I think that's the changes that I wanted to make to the groups. Okay, so let's go ahead and start actually budgeting now. So at the beginning of the month, I like to chuck everything that I have in ready to assign into this holding category. This ready to assign is my paycheck and some extra income. I made $163 extra this week from some Chase credit card cash back. I made $55 from pet sitting, and I made $88 from interest from my high-yield savings accounts that got paid out. So I like to just put that in this holding category so that at the beginning of the month, I can just budget with my next month fund, and then we will come back later and budget this out. So I don't like to fund my investing or my taxes with my next month fund. I like to just fund those with each paycheck as I get them. So we will skip those for now, and I will explain those a little bit more once we're budgeting my weekly paycheck and the extra income I made. But for now, let's go ahead and set the new targets that I want for these categories. And the goal is so in YNAB, you can do what's called a template. I'm doing air quotes like you can see it, but a template is basically where you have targets on pretty much every single category, and those category targets will equal roughly like as close to your monthly income as possible, so that all of your dollars are getting accounted for throughout the month. I kind of want to try doing that, because what I was doing last year I was in the mindset of I wanted to invest as much as I possibly could. And so I wasn't really holding a lot of money in my budget. I would keep like the bare minimum. And that's again why I started that allowance category. I wanted to kind of give myself a limit of how much I was spending on myself so that I could shove any extra money into investing. And while that was helpful last year, I was able to invest over $50,000. That's just not what I want to be doing this year. I want to be spending more of that money on myself and on my significant other and my family. I want to be spending more of that money now and giving myself that permission to just keep it in my budget. So yeah, also last year I was definitely in the mindset of keeping not as little money in my budget as possible, because I do have a lot of cash savings down here, but basically just trying not to hold on to too much money for future expenses, like my YouTube Premium, for example, in my subscriptions. So I have a note So that is 154. Things like that I didn't want to budget for on a monthly basis. This money, in my mind, just did a lot. It would do a lot more for me just being invested in the market and then cash flowing this $154 when it comes up, rather than saving like however much this is per month, $10 to $12 per month. I could have just been investing that whole time and growing it to more than what this cost is by the end of the year, if that makes sense. So I kind of was in that mindset about a lot of things in my budget, but I want to kind of dial it back and not be pushing so much extra into investments. I still have a hefty investing goal this year, but I don't want that to be my focus this year. I want my focus this year to be like getting more comfortable with my day-to-day spending and just being more in the present and making sure that I'm spending money on like quality things in my life now versus trying to spend as little as possible and investing as much as possible. So all that to say, I want to start setting some targets here. So for alcohol, I am going to give myself $50 a month, and next month I would like to set aside another $50. That sounds good. So we will set that and we will go ahead and fund that. Eating out, I want to do a weekly target. I'm going to set this to $50 and I'm going to set it to Mondays, which are my paydays, so that I get $50 per payday. So in 5 paycheck months, I get an extra $50. So, and the next month I want to set another. Yes, that sounds good. And we will go ahead and fund that. As you can see, I already overspent at the beginning of the month. Not overspent, but I spent money that I hadn't allocated yet. So then for groceries, we are also $70 a week. Yeah, that's good. I just want to make sure. So refill up to, yeah, that should be good. Refill up to $70 a week. Okay. So that all looks good. And again, I already spent money because I did not already have it. Basically, I didn't have time to film yet. So I am budgeting it now. $280. Okay. So now these discretionary targets. So for gifts and good vibes, this is everything from birthdays to buying like anniversary gifts for my boyfriend or Christmas, things like that. Or if we buy like party favors to bring or like a wedding gift, things like that will come out of this category. So I would like also the average is really thrown off. I do not on average spend that much on gifts. It was just thrown off because in December, I gave my parents a $3,000 check thanking them for letting me stay with them rent-free for 3 years. So basically $1,000 for each year. And that was to help them pay for an Alaska cruise, which they have booked. And my check was able to cover their entire cruise. And now they just have to purchase. They wanted to spend a little bit of time in Alaska off of the cruise, so have a couple of land days before and after their cruise. So that is going to be their only out-of-pocket expenses. But I was like just so happy to be able to fund their entire cruise with that $3,000 check. Okay, anyway, all that to say, this average is spent, or the average spend is a little thrown off because of that $3,000 check. So it's more along the lines of like $75 a month, which is what I'm going to fund it. And this will also it will build up over the months, and I should have like a few hundred at the end of the year to spend on Christmas. So that's the goal there. And throughout the month, I can also throughout the year, I can throw extra money if I am needing more for Christmas at the end of the year. But $75 a month for now. And then personal care, this is for haircuts and for makeup and for more like luxury skincare items that I don't buy at a drugstore, things that are more like unnecessary basically. And then more like household essentials, like just normal, like not luxury soaps and shampoos and stuff. That would come out of this household category below, which I will get to. But yeah, so this personal care is more like luxury, I guess, more optional purchases that I like to do every once in a while. So for this one, so it says that my average is 47, but actually I'm not going to be buying this shampoo anymore. And I got some of the skincare for Christmas that I don't need to buy. So really, I think I can get away with assigning $25 every month. And next month I want to set aside another $25. I think that should work for now. And we can go ahead and fund that. And then seeing and doing, this is my entertainment category for tickets, live events. If my boyfriend, we've been really liking going to Nashville and going bar hopping, and that can get very expensive. So my average spent has been $99. So I think a $100 target, not weekly, monthly. And I want to set aside another $100 every month, and that can build up if it does, and we can use that money to buy things like concert tickets, etc. And then I already spent, yeah, we went bowling on the 1st and paid for parking. So, wait, I'm confused. Why is it, this shouldn't be, why am I confused? Okay, I was so confused for a sec. I had cash left over of $87 last month. And yeah, okay, so that makes sense to do $100. Because I was thinking like, wait, with this spending, I should only have like 4 something and not have money left over from that 100. But yeah, I had money left over in there from that last month. I had this 87. So that makes sense there. Okay. And then for stuff and things, I want to go ahead and create a target of $50 a month. And we will assign that. Okay, and then like I said, I do not fund my travel here. I go ahead and save for it in my banana stand savings category down here, my adventures. So I will get to that in a second. But yeah, that looks good for discretionary. Okay, so the next thing I need to set a target for is rent, which this is the full rent. So this is my half and my boyfriend's half. So my target is actually going to be $1044. We will save that. And then that's how much I'm going to fund it. And my boyfriend is in the process of sending me his half. So that I will just inflow it to this category when I get that, and it'll offset that overspending. And then for utilities, so our rent includes Wi-Fi, which we're actually not paying for now. We had a move-in offer bonus thing that we don't have to pay Wi-Fi for the first 6 months. So that will be $60. So my rent will be going up $30 for my portion in like August, I guess. But yeah, so for now, these utilities are this is just going to be, I think this is just going to be electric because also water will come out of rent. So I'm actually not sure if I'm going to pay water separately or within my rent. So I might have to adjust this target, but I will just do that later when I actually get charged for water. But for now, for electric, and I guess for water, I can always move money between categories. But I think it would be safe to do $100 a month for my half, and we'll just set aside another $100 each month and let it roll over. It's going to be hot soon, so I would assume we're going to be using more electricity in the summer with the AC. So that should be good, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and assign $100 there. Household, this is for things like I said above, more like soaps, shampoos, and things that aren't, they're just more basic necessities, or like paper towels, cleaner, things like that. So $15 a week. What am I spending? Average spent 63. Yeah. And I did spend a lot more last month when we were moving in and we were bulk buying a bunch of things from Costco, like, a big pack of paper towels, big pack of toilet paper, cleaning supplies. So we won't have to make those purchases for a while, hopefully. So I think, $15 a week should be good still. And I just want to make sure, set aside another 15 a week. Yep, that looks good. So that's 60 total for this month. And then supplements, this is for things like my creatine powder, protein powder, which I'm not buying as much anymore, and then my vitamins. So I'm not buying as much protein powder because I used to make protein oatmeal every morning, and I've been switching over to eating breakfast with my boyfriend, and we make like eggs and bacon and toast and stuff. So I have not been using my protein powder. So I think I can lower this. Average spend is 43. I'm going to go ahead and lower this target to 45. And I think that should be plenty. And we can always adjust later, but that should be good. 45. And then Zeke, that is my boyfriend's dog, who is now my dog. He's living with me, and I would like to contribute to, purchasing his food and toys and treats and things like that. So, and I do have a vet fund for him down below as well, the dog tour fund. So I've got money for that. So on a monthly basis, I would like to set aside, I don't even know because I haven't been tracking separately how much his food and things are. So I'm going to start with 25 a month. And if that builds up, that's fine. It can go towards his vet fund. And we will just see how that goes. But I'm actually so excited to be funding him in my budget now because he's like my little dog now. He's an Aussie Doodle, and he's just the best. So, okay, now my essentials. These are just other random monthly expenses that are kind of non-negotiables for me. So this first one is compassion. I want to donate $100 a month, and I did not have time last month to research. I've been trying to donate to different places every month and spread my money. I'm not sure what I want to do this year, but anyway, I do have $100 left over from last month. I'm going to set aside another $100, and hopefully this month I can find a good place to put my money. I've also been toying with the idea of just saving this $100 throughout the year and making a huge $1,200 donation at like Christmas time, because a lot of organizations also do matching during that time. So I don't know. I'm going to think on that a little bit, whether or not I want to do $100 each month or just a big donation at the end of the year. But for now, setting aside $100 a month. And then my gym is $15 a month. Health insurance, because I'm a 1099 contractor. I pay my health insurance through the marketplace, and that is my premium after my tax credit. Medical, I don't fund. This is a tracking category if I were to go to the doctor. And then my phone bill, that's going to stay $38 a month. I pay that to my mom. Services and fees. So this is kind of a catch-all category for random things. So like last month, it was my security deposit and my renter's insurance. I don't want specific categories for those things. I don't care to get too granular in my reporting. So yeah, I don't fund this category. It is a tracking category. And speaking of which, so this was a storage unit that I was sharing with my mom for the last 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I had moved all of my stuff from my previous apartment into this storage unit while I was living with my parents. And it is now empty because I moved it all to my new townhouse with my boyfriend. So this will be my final month of paying my half of the storage unit. And I will go ahead and actually, I think I want to delete this category and I'm going to reassign those charges as services and fees. I might go through later and put memos for each of these transactions as storage so that in the future I can see, but I don't really care to do that right now. And I know I can hide the category as well, but I don't like to hide categories unless I know that I'm going to be using them shortly in the future or something. I just don't like hidden categories to like clutter up my budget. So yeah, I choose to delete that. Okay. And then subscriptions, $32.75. I am toying with the idea of increasing this to start saving for these bigger yearly expenses that come up towards the end of the year, since I am going to be keeping more of my money in my budget and being a little bit tighter with like budgeting every dollar on a monthly basis. I won't have as much I guess I will have the same cash flow. I'm just assigning my money more specifically now, but I'll think on it. For now, I will just keep budgeting only for my monthly expenses. And then, actually I have to check what was last month. Oh, last month got screwed up because I had an extra $5 charge. Something went up though. 36. Yeah, something went up by $1, but I believe that I changed the target. Actually, it should say here. Oh, okay. I guess I deleted my target. Whatever. It's fine. It might be $1 off, but we'll just see later. Okay. And then $165 a month for therapy. That's still good. I go about once every 4 to 6 weeks, and that is how much it costs because she does not take insurance. And then gas. We'll keep. I'm thinking I haven't been using 2 tanks of gas, but I also want to have money to buy gas for my boyfriend because he drives us a lot more than I drive us. I'll keep that for now. Budgeting for 2 tanks of gas basically, and then whatever I don't use, I can buy him diesel for his truck. And then insurance and registration, that's still good. $70 a month. I actually do have to pay my car insurance this month. It will be $447, so that's perfect. I'll have a little bit money extra that will roll over into my next premium. I may have to increase this though because it's been going up. Like, I can't do the mental math right now. It went up $20 $23 from last August. I mean, I can always cash flow. Can I cash flow it? Maybe I want to do like 75. I'll continue pondering that, and I'll decide later if I want to increase that. And then maintenance, I don't fund on a monthly basis. This, again, is a tracking category. I save for my car down in my banana stand. So this car fund is for fixing my car, buying new tires, maintenance, my car deductible, and also I'm setting aside money to buy a new used car in the future. I don't have any plans to, but I want to be prepared with a hefty, I want $15,000 in here eventually, which, let's go ahead and change this target actually. I want to start setting aside $250 every month, and this will get me to $10,000 by the end of the year, which is my goal for this fund, is to get it up to $10,000. And then my adventure fund is the other one that I want to fund. What do I want to fund this? We're gonna do $125 every month because I want to keep building that up. I have a lot of plans with my boyfriend this year of travel plans. We are going to go to Chicago. We're going to go to Pittsburgh. We're going to go visit my brother in Bend, Oregon. We're going to visit his family in Colorado and possibly visit more of my family in Minnesota, possibly go to Florida. We're dreaming big this year with travel, so I need to be prepared. So I want to keep building that up a lot. I do have like over $1,000 in airline points with Chase that I can also use for airline tickets. And then, yeah, I think 3,000-ish. Yeah, we'll see. It should be good, but I can always pull money. This apartment fund, I definitely will have left over. I think what I'm going to do is after like 2 or 3 months, kind of see what I have left in here after we're done like decorating the place, getting all the furniture we need, and I can reallocate this money, maybe put some towards my investing goal, put some towards travel, maybe even finish out my car fund early this year. We will see, but for now I'm going to let that money sit because we are still in the process of buying furniture and such. And eventually I'd like to get my tech fund back up to $1,500, but it's not too much of a priority right now. So let's see. So we can go ahead and fund these. 99.68. Okay, so here's what I want to do actually. I want to go ahead and fund the rest of this 150.32 with this apartment fund, because that is essentially using this apartment fund to get my month ahead funds to where they need to be. So 150.32 to my car fund. Okay. Then if I select, I'm going to select everything but deselect holding, investing, and taxes. Okay, I need to deselect that one. Okay, that makes much more sense. Okay, so that is exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be around $3,030 assigned. So this is for a normal 4 paycheck month for me. So here's what I'm gonna do. Basically, I want to, like I said, get closer to budgeting every dollar that I'm going to be making in the month from my normal day-to-day paychecks. So I get paid $1,550 a week, so times 4, that is $6,200. Then I am planning on investing $500 a week. So that is $2,000 a month. And then also I set aside $275 a week towards my quarterly taxes since I'm a 1099 contractor. And that comes out to $1,100 in a normal month. And then subtract the 30, 29, 40. That leaves me with a buffer of 70, 60 at the end of the month that will not be allocated. And I think I'm fine with that, having a little bit of wiggle room while this is my first month doing this. And then if I do end up having this money left over at the end of the month, then I can put that towards my investing. And what I want to do this year with my investing is, instead of putting as much money every week towards investing like I was doing last year, I want to give myself a set schedule. So I chose $500 a week, which, okay, let's bring over my calculator again. So $45,000 is my investing goal this year, minus I've already invested $10,000 in January. So I have to invest $35,000 the rest of this year to hit that $45,000 goal. Now, what I originally wanted to do was basically split up that $35,000 into weekly payments. So there are 48 weeks left that I have not invested this year. So I would have to invest about an average of $730 a week towards investing to hit that goal. And I just don't want to put that pressure on myself again this year. I think $45,000 is going to be a stretch goal for me. I think it's definitely possible. But what I want to do is just set a contribution, a investing goal of $500 a week. So that would be, for 48 weeks, $24,000 plus the $10,000 that I've already invested. That's $34,000. So I would have to come up with another $11,000 throughout the year to reach that $45,000 investing goal. And I'm not worried about that because on 5 paycheck months, I should have like an extra $500 to put towards investing during those months. And I'm also going to be making extra income this year. I'm working on hopefully making a raise at my job. And I do extra things like sign up bonuses and pet sitting, getting cash back, things like that. My plan for the rest of this year is to put all of my extra income towards investing instead of what I was doing last year, which was basically like living on nothing in my day-to-day budget and just putting like everything in investing. I don't want to do that. I want to cap it at $500 a week. So that is what I spend from my paychecks. And then anything extra that I make on top of my paychecks, that is what I can invest. And I think that will just help me mentally. And like I said, this $45,000, it's going to be a bit of a stretch goal, and I am okay if I don't hit this. Even if I invest $40,000, that is still amazing. I'm going to keep this target just to kind of see where I'm at. But yeah, just a warning that I'm probably pretty consistently going to be under this target, and that is completely fine. I am very content with how I want to do that this year. And like I said, just be able to spend more money on a daily basis on things that I want to prioritize more right now. So now that I have my template all set up, now, if you're still with me, we can finally budget out my money that I have in ready to assign. So like I said, this is my paycheck, and then it's also this $163 extra that I made from these 3 sources. So I will go ahead and put that $163 plus the $500 that I'm doing from each paycheck into investing. And then I do my $275 a week towards my taxes. And then the rest of the $775 is what I can use to start budgeting into next month. And I think next month I will, go ahead and delete this next month fund. For now, I'll just keep it there in case I end up changing my mind. But yeah, let's go. Oh no. What happened? Oh, the overspent from, okay. So yeah, that's going to be a little bit confusing while I wait for the payment from my boyfriend. Okay, so yeah, if you're new to YNAB, it basically, if you roll to the next month, it's going to take any overspending. So this overspending happened in a checking account, so it was not on credit card. So it is basically subtracting that amount from my ready to assign so that I'm not budgeting more money than I actually have. But this is going to be difficult. Maybe I just want to make a fake payment for my, like, he is paying me today. Maybe I'll just go ahead and put that in so that it'll be less confusing when we budget in March. I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, so I've covered my boyfriend's portion of rent, so that all looks good. Now when we flip to March, everything looks normal and not crazy, so it'll be a little easier to follow along now. And I'll just have to make sure that my boyfriend actually pays me that half of his rent, which I believe he's in the process of doing today. Okay, so like I said, I skip my investing and my taxes categories with budgeting into the next month. I just cover those with my weekly paychecks. So I think, I guess it doesn't really matter because I should be able to fund these all. I'm just going to go ahead and throw all of this into rent. Cool. So I'm officially budgeting into the future, like normal, not normal, but like that's usually what YNABers teach, is to physically budget in the month ahead. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes for me. And I guess you'll see how it goes because I'm going to keep recording these videos, but yeah, wow, this might be my longest video ever. If you are still here watching, I very much appreciate you. I hope I wasn't too chaotic and all over the place, but I probably was because I tend to ramble and talk in circles. But anyway, I just appreciate you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked it. Really trying to reach 1,000 subscribers this month or maybe next month. That would be amazing. But anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, bye.